Hello, Monkey Dust users, and welcome to This is the weekly DCTV Arrowverse podcast we do every single week, where we discuss everything Arrowverse. I'm your host, Declan McKinney, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Dan McCance, otherwise known as Mule Kick Media.
What's popping?
Monkey Dust is what's popping. So we were just having a nice little lighting discussion before the podcast began, where Dan informed me of the new drug that's hit the streets of Britain. It's called Monkey Dust. I mean, yeah, it does kind of sound like that drug that was on Riverdale last season. I don't know the name of it. But it sounds that ridiculous, but it sounds like a lot of fun, and it seems like we might be actually getting some reports of it coming in, but that's completely subjective, and that's completely a different point.
Hey, if you want to become the new Deathstroke, just take something that's basically just Mirakuru.
It's basically Mirakuru, so yeah, it's basically, if you're looking for that, for like Halloween next year, just pop down to Staffordshire and get some Monkey Dust.
I'll walk into Staff's Uni and give it to you.
This is not an ad, by the way. Anyway, moving on. In this week's episode, we have actually got some news to discuss for once, and we also have our reviews for all of these week's episodes. Flash is not here this week. It decided to take some time off after the election, so...
Hey, see what you did there.
Hey. So, yes, Flash is not here this week, so we'll have to do without it. But starting off with the news, the crossover has now finished filming, it seems, for the most part. I think Stephen Amell has, especially himself, has finished filming. Now, what was interesting is this week we actually got some set photos from Chicago. They actually filmed part of this crossover in Chicago, as Chicago is actually acting as Gotham.
So which is cool, because actually they used that. I'm pretty sure in the Dark Knight trilogy, I think they used Chicago.
So, yeah, I think so.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I mean, they obviously we were all kind of wondering where they were going to film Gotham, if it was going to be in
because you can't use Vancouver for like the 500th time as a city.
Especially there are so mmany scenes like in Arrow where you just see like Star Labs in the back, but it's something else.
Yeah, it's just the Vancouver Whitecap Stadium, but no, it's not Star Labs.
Yeah. But no, they actually went to Chicago, so they're actually filming in a big city. That is really cool, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it is the same city that the Dark Knight filmed in, so that's, keeping the lineage there. Dark Knight crossover confirmed.
Get in.
So yeah, this is pretty cool. We do get to see like some cars with like the GCPD on it. We do actually see the GCPD itself in one of the photos as well. So
Commissioner Gordon cameo.
Oh yes. So Gotham is coming, boys. It's on its way. Yeah.
Gotham crossover confirmed.
Getting closer to it.
It's getting closer.
Yeah, and we are getting closer to the crossover itself. We should be getting the trailer within the next month or so. So that's pretty exciting. Obviously, now it's all sort of filmed, they'll be putting together a trailer. So let's go, Marky Mark. Let's go.
Marky Mark.
Come on, Googie. Let's get a video.
No, we don't celebrate Googie. We do not celebrate this man.
I wonder if he'll be on the behind the scenes Blu-ray next year for the.
What? Just so you can look at his googly eyes.
Yes, his googly eyes. So we also got the episode. I kind of wanted to. I don't know why I'm really including these, but we got the episode titles for the next few episodes of Supergirl, which I just thought I'd bring up.
You're going to bring this up for the show we care the least about.
There's literally nothing to discuss. I just thought I'd bring it up. It was news. So we got episode 8 of the season, which is called Bunker Hill. Episode 9, which is Elseworlds Hour 3, and episode 10, Secrets and Lies. That is all. But we did get the episode title for the 100th episode of The Flash, which some people have been trying to break down. I don't really know if people should be breaking it down too much. It's called What's Past is Prologue. I could see why people are kind of interested by it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot to dissect, like, from one sentence. I don't really think there's too much in it to, I mean, do you think it means anything in particular? I mean, obviously it has a meaning, but...
Yeah. I think it will relate. I definitely think it will relate to what happens in the episode. But the thing is with the Flash, I find it so hard sometimes to predict what they're gonna do, especially with this season. So it's like, it could relate to something. At the same time, they might just be naming that on purpose just to throw a load of people off, which I feel like they probably might have done. Yeah,
because I mean, I have a feeling that they're kind of doing that this season with all their episode titles. I mean, there's an episode title coming up which is called The Flash and the Furious, which, makes me think that, as an audience member, this must be a Fast and Furious crossover, but, it probably won't happen, so it's probably just a bit of trickery. I'm not an idiot. So, it's probably got time travel in it. We know Zoom's in it. I guess we should mention that as well.
Yeah.
The actor who plays Zoom did actually confirm that he is...
Well, the voice of Zoom.
Yeah, the voice of Zoom. He also voiced the Fallen in Transformers 2.
Shit film. It
was funny. I didn't even know it. Like, I just heard the voice, and I was like, where have I heard that for? It took me like 10 minutes to figure it out. I was like, oh, yeah, it's the Fallen.
The worst one.
Transformers fanboy over here. But yeah, Zoom is going to be in this crossover, probably alongside Reverse Flash. I think he said, because what he said was like loads of
multiple speedsters,
who are coming after a piece of Barry, so we can expect our boy Savitar to return. I wonder if DeVoe will return. That'd be quite cool.
No. He's dead, fam.
He's dead. So Savitar. Actually, Zoom's not dead. He's technically still Black Flash. Well, Black Flash is technically dead, although
he's not. He's not dead though. He's not dead. I prefer to imagine that the season 3 finale didn't happen.
Yeah, well, I think we all prefer that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the only thing the Black Flash can't fight.
Cold.
Well done, Savitar. Well done. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about the Flash 100th episode. Obviously, I mean, if the Arrow one is anything to go off of, it'll be a pretty fantastic episode. We will get loads of returning characters and things like that. I reckon Wally will be in that episode. I hope he is. We all love a bit of Wally. We need a bit of Wally in our lives. And yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. The episode title doesn't give us too much to go off of, but yeah, whatever. And finally, going back to the crossover, we had a very interesting casting. Bob Frazier has been cast as Psycho Pirate.
Okay.
We are getting ever closer to Crisis on Infinite Earths. This character is very big in Crisis. Obviously, we're getting the Monitor in this crossover as well. So people are saying that like this crossover is basically a setup for Crisis, which will probably be the next crossover. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but
no,
I mean, I can see what they're saying. I mean,
yeah,
this crossover could be their version of Crisis, maybe. Because obviously this is Elseworld, so if they wanted to do Crisis, they could just kind of do it in an Elseworld story and get away with it. Because the thing is, you can't really do Crisis like in the Arrowverse, really, in terms of like continuity wise. I don't know if it would work, especially because like if you have some people who only watch like one show, they're gonna be really confused.
Yeah, because then you're bringing all these worlds into one, and it's like, well, wait, they were on different Earths, So unless they do a good job of like explaining it to people who don't watch all the shows in the actual crossover, then I don't know. I agree though, it could maybe be a setup for it for next year, because then at least it gives us something to look forward to, 12 months in advance.
Yeah. I mean, because, like, for example, my dad, he only watched Arrow, and he still hasn't got his head around Black Siren, so it's, like, I think he took, like, he literally still doesn't, he just sees it as Laurel's back from the dead. He doesn't actually, I've tried, it was like in The Flash this season, where they're trying to explain to Ralph the multiverse. That's basically what I did with my dad. So when we said Harry was from Earth 2, what did you think we meant? So yeah. I mean, Psycho Pirate is a really cool character, and I'm definitely excited to see what they do with him and what he looks like, because his costume's really fun in the comics, so I want to see how they kind of do that. I reckon it's going to be a really comic book accurate suit, given the Monitor. So yeah, I mean, this crossover is just mental. So mental.
Very mental, but I still think it could fail. I'm being realist.
You're always a downtrodder, man.
No. I'm setting the realistic expectation. Fam, this time 3 months ago, we were complaining that Ruby Rose was in it and the Legends were in it, and we were saying, it's not going to be that good. I don't care. I'm reminding you because it was true.
To be honest, I don't care about the Legends anymore because their show's turned to shit. Anyway, right, let's move on.
What? No! What is this?
We're going to talk about it.
Oh my goodness. There's going to be a massive divide between me and you this season on Legends, I can tell.
Right. But before we get to that, we can get something we can definitely agree on. Heisma, Supergirl Season 4, Episode 4 was shocking. Just as we thought Supergirl may be improving, it goes and shits itself out again. I mean, yeah, this episode is
fucking awful. Awful.
As I tweeted, I'm glad to see Supergirl's back to its old self.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, the Power Rangers suit, or as Manchester Black appropriately called it, Daft Punk, I thought that was a pretty good comparison.
Very much so.
The suit was awful. It didn't work for me. I think it looked terrible.
The thing is with it, it's meant to be like this skin tight suit, isn't it? Like a protective layer.
Yeah.
But it's like when she's walking around with it, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like she's wearing like a full bulky suit. And it's just she looks so awkward in it, and the bits that I
robotic.
And the bit that I hated was how they obviously, for anybody who still doesn't know, Melissa was away on Broadway when they filmed this episode, so most of her scenes were actually shot afterwards, so they had to add them in later. But it was so obvious in this episode. Like last episode, it wasn't as obvious,
No.
But this time around, it's like constantly just like having scenes where it's clearly Melissa's stunt double, and then it's just cut into, you know, Cara and this close up of her face, which is clearly just an Iron Man ripoff. But it's like all the stuff's going around on the screen that doesn't even translate to English. It's literally just like blurry lines. It's just like, what is this?
It's basically just the Iron Man heads-up
Yeah.
display, but like a worse version.
Yeah, because you can't even tell what anything says or does. It's just, it's awful. And it's just, you got these scenes where it's just, the scenes between Cara and other characters at times, they're supposed to be these really dramatic scenes, but they feel so artificial because you can tell that Melissa Benoist is not there on set. So it's literally just the respective actor just talking to a stunt double.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it didn't feel there. And there was one scene particular with you know, Alex and Cara, you know, when they're having that argument about how, you know,
good scene, like good dialogue.
That was a great scene.
Tyler Lee is great.
Yeah.
Like Alex is so good. But
Yeah.
That scene doesn't work as well as it should have because it's just like Melissa's just talking to her with like just this helmet on. It's just like the helmet is completely blacked out on the mask, which obviously again we understand why, but it doesn't work. Which tells me, you know, maybe you should have just left it. Like it's just I mean they try and pay it off in some way where like she takes it off at the end and there's that like shot where it's just like her hair's flowing everywhere. Sponsored.
Can I just state as well, the green screen in that background,
Terrible.
because of the fact they clearly went there, fucking shocking. It was like
I mean, The Walking Dead.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they were trying to get a bit of sponsored by L'Oreal Paris in there, but it was it was a good shot. You know, Melissa looked very beautiful, but you know, it wasn't quite the payoff that I think they were expecting.
Oh no.
What do you think about James this week?
James, oh god, Jesus Lord.
Guardian's back.
Guardian's back, but then they had that stupid. I mean, we're glad, but I'm at this point, I'm just contemplating when the writers are just going to be like, oh, you can't be Guardian, got to sit on them sidelines for the next 15 episodes.
I'm actually really hoping that James gets arrested, like, because that'll actually be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'll get sent to Slabside.
Then he'll meet the Earth. Yeah. Right. No. What if the Earth 38 Oliver Queen is already in jail for being a murderer as the Hood?
Fine, whatever. I'll take it.
Yeah, but it's like, give him something, because it's like this episode. I thought, I was hoping, please just give him something, and then he has that scene with what's her name again? I can't even remember her name anymore. Naya. He has that scene with Naya, and it's just, I found it a little bit weird because of the points that like she was bringing up, and it was just, I don't know. It's just like the way they're taking James this season, it's constantly leading me in this direction where it's like, are we going to get this big story with him? And then another time it's just like, oh, they're just going to do the same shit over again. Well, they just don't give him anything. So I honestly do not have a clue what or even if they're going to do anything with him.
Yeah. Speaking of Naya, they are really like heavily trying to push like her future superhero agenda because
definitely,
like there's been so many scenes this season where she's just like asleep at her desk, and that's because obviously she's Dreamer in the comics, like, so that's just like so obvious. It's just like, all right, we get it.
It doesn't even feel subtle anymore. It's just like every time that she sleeps, there's so much focus on it. It's just like, okay, we get it.
And also, I mean, if you're doing that on the job all the time, how are you still employed? Like, you know, just like realistically here.
Yeah, if I was caught asleep in my job, I'd be fired instantly. I wonder if she can.
I mean, I want to fall asleep at my desk at my job, but I can't. I have to like sellotape my eyes. So yeah, I mean, Guardian is back, and we'll see if they actually do anything with him. Probably not though. Mercy Notice Graves finally bit the bullet. About time.
Oh, about time. I was waiting for it so long.
I'm so glad they're dead. I mean, obviously we hate these characters. Like, they were so annoying, and they were just so bad. And to be honest, I'm surprised that they didn't go longer. I thought they were going to last like at least half the season, but I mean, I'm bloody glad they're not.
But imagine if they did go half the season, I probably would have given up. Like, they're such awful villains, and like, I finally come to the conclusion now that Mercy Graves is just as bad as Otis. Like, the actress who plays it, I absolutely hate her, because literally you stare at her face, and not only is it like 50% Botox, her upper lip doesn't move. Her upper lip does not move at all when she speaks any lines. It's literally like looking at a plastic mannequin, and then the bottom half of the jaw is just moving up and down, and it's just so awful. Like, it's pathetic. And then you got fucking, and then you got
Celebrity Juice.
Exactly. Yes, that's what she looks like. Anytime she acts in a scene, because I've seen her on other shit as well. Like, she just can't act at all. and then you got Otis, who's just the most punchable arsehole ever.
Yeah.
Like when he starts like taking that kid's fucking Beebo cushion and stamped on it, I actually wanted to fly over to Vancouver and just punch him in the face. Like, how dare you offend Beebo?
Yeah. So,
in all seriousness,
Beebo made his first appearance in Supergirl, but
he is
transcendent.
transcendent. Though. No, like I didn't see any real Beebos, so I'm not 100% satisfied.
Like a cushion of Beebo.
Yeah. Why couldn't you just get the normal Beebo? Why is it so hard?
Why does Arrow have to one-up Supergirl in every way?
Yeah.
But anyway, Mercy and Otis are great. They're dead, thank God.
Their death scene was so funny. The death scene was so funny because it was like it really came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did. Really, yeah.
Because it's like one of the like aliens that they like mind control just suddenly breaks free and just fucking shoots both of them, and you've got fucking Otis just shouting Murphy.
But yes, anyway, the grave villains are now both in the grave.
Get it.
I'm on
watch
fire.
Watch him bring them back to life now. Just watch him do that.
Please don't. But this does mean that Agent Liberty is now on top. So
yeah, which is good. But I felt like didn't get anywhere near enough of him in this episode, especially off the back of the last one.
Cool with when he had the helmet on, he did look. Pretty
cool he looks sick.
Sam Witwer in that suit. That is
yeah, it's not just a fucking stunt double half the time. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'd be perfectly happy if they just made Agent Liberty the main character. I agree with him more. I want him to kind of kill
exactly.
On the show
I actually want him to win. Please, just let him win, please.
Honestly, Sam Witwer, as proven last week, and it just proves even more this week, he is the savior of this show. Like, he's like the only good thing about it this season.
I feel like by the end of the season, he will be the only thing that us two will praise.
Yeah.
Now,
actually, one thing I did like in this episode, Manchester Black.
Yeah, Manchester Black was good.
He
seems a bit different to what, obviously, from his comics version, which I understand. The way that they kind of hint maybe him going towards that more with the ending, when he starts purchasing those guns. I think it's interesting. The only thing that I found a little bit weird was, like, obviously he had that whole, like, we find out that he's like, is he married to what was the name? Fiona or something. I found that out, but then when I thought back to myself in my head, didn't she die in the first episode?
Yeah.
Didn't Agent Liberty stab her?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I
was talking
about this, and I was talking about this with Eric as well. Like, I saw Eric talking about it. DJ Eric, actually, check him out, awesome guy. He was in episode 1.
She gets fucking stabbed by him.
The impression that she was killed. He really stabbed her and she fell to the floor. Like, so have the Supergirl writers just retconned it or just forgot? Like, what's happened here?
Because otherwise, it just makes Agent Liberty look like an absolute douche because he doesn't know how to kill anyone.
To kill a person. I mean, yeah, I can't quite tell if this is a retcon, a mistake, or the Supergirl writers just forgot that they killed this character off. I really hope they just forgot, because that would be really funny. But, I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, Fiona shows up, and I thought she was dead as well, because, like, obviously John's looking for her this entire season, but he doesn't know she's dead, so I was like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, and then it's just like, oh no, she's alive, and I was like, oh, okay. But, like, they never gave you, like, we never knew she was alive. Like, oh, man. But anyway, Manchester Black. He is really cool. I like David Ajala. I think he's really good in the role.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a Brit on the show like that.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking in a British accent, I mean, because obviously David Harewood is British as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like his character. He seems like quite a bit of fun. His dynamic is very different. Like, even just like the way he speaks, the way he acts is very different to everyone else. So it's a nice kind of dynamic to everyone else. I'm just interested to see where they go with him, because obviously he is a villain typically. I kind of hope they go down more the anti-hero route with him.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking based off this episode.
Like, I have a feeling he's going to become like a vigilante, and people are going to, like, Supergirl, like the team, sort of either work with him at times or not. I think, like, maybe they might do like what they did with Vigilante on Arrow. They might do something like that, which I'd be happy with. I'd much rather him become an anti-hero than just a straight up villain, because I think we've got too many villains at the moment.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, from what we've got already at the moment with Agent Liberty, I'm fine with that. Like, the villain department, I'm fine with now. That doesn't need changing. I think if you add him into the mix, you'll just end up with both of them just trying to compete for screen time, which I just don't think is the right thing. Like, I'd rather just him be like his own character, not having to like push him to be a villain.
Yeah, I think just let him ride his line and just see what happens with him. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to, like, the big final battle, we all know he's going to team up with them. So, you might as well. I think it's a lot more interesting as well if you do an anti-hero, like, someone who's kind of riding the line between good and evil. It's just more interesting because that's why Agent Liberty is quite interesting because he is a good guy. Really, he's just like, he's kind of been caught at a bad time. But yeah, is there anything else? Oh yeah, we got another tease for Red Kara this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which didn't make a lot of sense.
Not really, no. So apparently she was affected by the kryptonite as well, but then how would they know about that? I don't know. So does this confirm that this Kara is basically a carbon copy of the one we've got?
I don't know. Like, how the fuck was she created though? I bet watch them never explain this. Just pull on a flash and just be like, "Oh, it's too complicated."
It's Flashpoint.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Like this character. Obviously, they've said that they're not gonna like dive into this character until the back half. But then, why are you teasing it? It's like, why are you giving us these things that don't make sense? Like, it's just, I'm still interested in this Red Kara, but I just don't. It's just it seems really out of place. Like every time it comes up, it's just something completely separate and random, and it's like, oh, okay. I kind of forgot about it, to be honest.
Same.
And then she showed up again. I was like, oh yeah, there's this going on. So yeah, whatever. There's not really much to say, really.
No. What else is there? Oh yeah, Lena broke her accent again, which was funny.
That's not news.
I know that's not news, but it's still funny to point it out whenever it happens because that's when you know you're watching Supergirl.
Yeah. What would you sort of give this episode?
Well, you know how harsh I am on things because I'm a realist and I want things to improve. So I thought this episode was shit. Apart from a few good areas, and by that I mean basically Manchester Black, Agent Liberty, and Alex. That was about it. Like I thought the episode was pretty awful. I mean, not as awful as the first two episodes.
No, I will say it's better than that.
but that's not saying much. That's not saying much because compared to 3 was like a masterpiece compared to that.
3 is honestly the best episode of Supergirl.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have that much of her in it, so that's very telling.
No. Yeah. And even though I like to be a positive guy, I'm going to give this episode a 10 out of 10. No. No, this episode's terrible. I mean, yeah, it's a bit better than the first two, but it's nowhere near 3. Like, not even within the same universe as 3.
Nope.
Can we just get like an Agent Liberty spin-off show and just do that? It'd be much better.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Should we do Arrow or do you want to do Legends first?
We'll do Legends since we'll keep it in a similar structure. Yeah.
Right. Right. This is where we're going to divide.
God.
I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, see, this is a good thing because I've just literally watched the episode today, so I'm kind of fresh in my mind with it. I once again enjoyed this episode. I get why people were a bit conflicted with it. I do have my problems with the episode. Not really as much to do with the actual like tone or theme of the episode, but more with some plot points that they introduce, specifically time travel stuff, which just kind of felt weird. But then again, Legends has always done that in the past as well. They've always had introduced these things like, oh, you can't do this in time, yet they'll break it 3 episodes later. Because it's happened in season 4, no one complained about it. And season 3, sorry. And like even in season 2, they've done it and no one complained about it. I just find it weird why they're all of a sudden complaining about it now. But I enjoyed this episode overall, which I know is going to be Declan, who I know is probably going to say it's a shit episode. So you can say yours now. I
was not a huge fan.
Oh my god!
And my problem isn't necessarily with the episode itself, although I do have problems with that. I'm not feeling Legends this season. I really like the premiere, but then 2 and 3, especially 3, has just this show feels different. It for me, it feels like a shell of what it was. It feels like it's doing what season 3 did, but way too hard. Like it's trying far too hard to be like funny and wacky and over the top. And I was like, you don't need that. Like just do it naturally, like you did in season 3. That was funny. Like season 3 is hysterical for me.
I disagree. I thought this episode was funny.
I didn't at all.
I did. How could you not laugh in between the scenes with fucking Mick and Constantine? They were funny.
I mean, But that's even the thing, though. For me, the characters, they feel like shells of themselves. Other than Constantine, who I think is the only sort of legit one. Like, Sarah doesn't feel right. Mick is the other one I'll put in the same boat. But, like, Ray, and then Nate is alright. And then, who's the other one? Zari even doesn't feel the same. It's just, for me, this season isn't feeling right. And I think they need to change it because it's just, again, it doesn't feel like the same show that we had last season. It feels like it's a shell of itself. And I've seen a lot of people say this as well. I know I'm not alone with this. I know a lot of people are kind of feeling... Legends is being quite divisive this season. Some people like you are loving it. And I thought I would love it. You know, me being Mr. Positive, I thought I would love it. But I'm not. I'm feeling off with this season. But anyway, this episode. The time period stuff wasn't the problem for me. That didn't really bother me. Because, I mean, this episode basically serves as a way to get Charlie on the show. The new character of Charlie, who we'll get to in a bit. But the actual theme of the context, 1970s Britain, didn't really have a problem with that. Like the punk music, I actually quite liked those group of characters that Ray was with. And
yeah.
I will say, I think Ray's really good in this episode. I did like Brandon Routh in this episode a lot.
So why are you complaining he doesn't feel the same?
Because he doesn't.
Oh my god. He does, though. He's always been like this.
I don't know. It's just...
He has.
For me, it doesn't feel like the same Ray. And... Even though I think he's good in this episode, especially in the scene when Charlie like shapeshifts into his body and he becomes like an evil Ray. That was quite fun, and we actually got to see him use the Atom suit for once. But yeah, I think that the characters they used. Also, there's a character in this episode called Declan, so shout out.
No shit.
Obviously,
but worst episode. Worst episode.
Only Irish name they could think of there for a male. So yeah, that was cool. Like getting the representation. There was actually a character in Legend Season 1 called Declan as well.
Oh my! Stop bragging! Stop bragging!
Master called Declan. Just saying.
Stop bragging.
But what about Charlie? What did you think of Charlie?
I thought Charlie was good. Obviously we didn't get to see a lot of her. With Maisie Richardson Sellers playing her. We only saw her for about 3 or 4 minutes of screen time as her. But I thought as the other incarnation, as that younger girl, I thought she was quite good. But it's just a shame because of the fact that obviously, she's not going to be shapeshifting into that form probably ever again for the rest of the season. So it kind of feels as if, how attached can you get to it?
Yeah. I mean, at least they did actually finally explain this, because I've been really on the edge of my seat about this, which is like this new Amaya character. I was like, how are they going to explain this? How she looks like Amaya, but it's not Amaya. So they did get around that, which I appreciated. And it was actually that was a good way of doing it. I do like that. Obviously, the whole shape-shifting thing. She turned into Amaya. Constantine took the power away, and then she was left in Amaya's form. Although I do feel bad for the actress who played her for the majority in this episode, because it's just like saying, "Oh yeah, your character's a series regular, but you're not playing her." It was just a way.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does kind of feel like an excuse for them to just have her back, just to kind of cause tension between her and Nate. But then again, I don't really mind, because I think the two actors of them respectively, I think, do a really good job together. So it'll be interesting to see what Nate's reaction will be like when he finally goes back onto the Wave Rider. Yeah. So I'm not too bothered by that, but no, I thought what they did with Charlie this episode, I did enjoy.
Yeah, it was cool. I do like Charlie, but for me, just like the rest of the episode, it's just like the stuff with Nate and Gary. I don't know. I mean, Gary is a character I love, but even I was like, this is weird. And the scene where they're in the past with the saber-toothed tiger, I don't understand why that scene was supposed to be a threat, because one thing that Legends has seemed to have forgotten recently is that Nate has powers.
Yeah.
That he never uses. Because, obviously, they're really trying to save money on Legends this season, clearly, because, like, all the metahumans are gone, except for Nate, and he never uses his powers. He's not a part of the Legends this season, at least not, for a while. So, obviously, Firestorm's gone. Ray used his suit for the first time in this episode, like, for the first time in ages. And I think that's pretty much it. So... And like Zari is kind of like the only one who kind of has powers, so it feels like for me they're really just trying to save money, and I think that's compromising some stuff. And I'm not enjoying that at all. Because I feel like obviously they're really trying to put money into like Constantine stuff when he gets to do some stuff, which is good because obviously Constantine's great. I will say the stuff with Constantine in this episode was really good when because he just kind of does one and goes to Liverpool and sees his mum. which, although the time rule they introduced, which is bloody stupid,
yeah,
the actual context of the motivation of it was good. The fact he was trying to, because I think they kind of hint that maybe his dad was abusive to him and his mum, so he was trying to stop that from happening. So he just tried to kick his dad in the balls so that he would never basically exist. But then obviously that would erase Constantine from existence. But then they introduced this thing where he's about to do it, and if he does it, that means that, as Paigey put it, he'd be shooting blanks for the rest of his life. The time gods just stop him.
Yeah, that felt strange, yeah.
Especially because this is something they've never established before, and Zari kind of just passes it off as something that we would have seen before. Like, she kind of passes it off as like, oh yeah, that happened. And it's like, whoa. We've
never seen this before.
And even so, we've been in situations in this show where we've, like, erased ourselves. But yeah, the Legends did it in season 2. Like, they did it. Like, they literally erased themselves. And then, because, like, this cast of Legends, really, when you think about it, is not the same cast of Legends that we started the show with, really. Because in the season 2 finale, those original Legends erased themselves. We have versions from 5 minutes later. I know they're basically the same character, you know what I mean? So the fact that this is only just coming up now is really strange. And I feel like, again, and this is what I mean by trying too hard, is that I felt like they only introduced this as a point of the joke.
Yeah.
Just to have Constantine fall over. And again, I think that's stupid. And again, this is what I mean. They're trying too hard. You didn't need a joke there, because again, that was like a serious moment. So why did you need a joke there? And you didn't need to introduce this time rule, which completely contradicts everything we've seen before. And this means we're going to have to stick with this going forward. And you did all that just for the sake of a joke? No, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, the thing is as well, is that with that scene, they're trying to introduce something that's just way too technical for a show that's meant to be, it's like, fun and like light-hearted as Legends. Like, to try and tackle something like that, because basically that whole concept of like, oh, you know, if he'll erase himself from existence, but then he'll never be able to go there to erase himself, that's basically just like a load of paradox rubbish. Like, I think it's called the grandfather paradox. But stuff like that, Legends shouldn't be doing. And like you say, they treat it as like this mega serious thing that us as an audience are supposed to already understand, when we've never really tackled anything like that on this show. Like, like I said, I just found it stupid. Like, why did he all of a sudden just like vanish and then just end up on the floor? It's just like that kind of stuff. And like Legends does do that sometimes, but it was quite noticeable in that scene just because of how out of place it was. Because obviously they're trying to use something very technical and like dramatic for comedy, and it sort of didn't work in that aspect, which I do understand.
And it ruined an otherwise pretty good scene.
Yeah.
Because again, I think the tenderness of it and the actual motivation of it, you know, Constantine with his mum and his dad, I thought that was good, because we don't really know a lot about Constantine and his backstory, so to get a hint of that was nice. But then they just kind of did that, and I thought it kind of compromised it. I think this episode is watchable. I think it's perfectly fine. I just don't think it's outstanding or as good as Legends has the right to be.
Yeah,
Legends proved itself to me last season that, you know, it can really do bits, but with this season, like I said, I really like the premiere, but the second episode put me off a little bit. I still really like the second episode, but not so much. This episode, I don't know. I think it's really going to have to win. I'm hoping, for me personally, this is just like a dip episode. You know, this was just like a filler. I mean, I can't really say filler because it wasn't filler necessarily, but, you know, it just was like a dip episode, and next week it will go back. But for me, I just personally didn't like this episode too much. Although, one character who's introduced here, and I don't even know if you know about this because it's not very well publicized, but they introduced another series regular in this episode.
Yeah, is it the character that like Gary's constantly like?
Yeah, so her name's Mona,
yeah.
And she works for the government, because she doesn't work for the Time Bureau because she doesn't know what the Time Bureau is. Like, she comes in and she basically just gives snacks to people. But her name's Mona, and if you don't know, she's actually a series regular this season. She is going to be joining the Legends, so I mean, there's not really too much to go off of in this episode. She's in it for like 2 scenes, but obviously it was cool to have the seed. This episode is basically just used as an introduction to new characters. Like, we got Charlie and then we got Mona, so yeah, she seems fairly likable though. So yeah, sure. I just think obviously we need a bit more time to gravitate towards her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean by this episode. I do think it's the weakest one. I wouldn't call it a great episode. I still thought it was like good, enjoyable. But I don't think I'm as negative on it as you are. I still found like bits to enjoy from it. I still thought the episode was funny for the most part for me personally. I do get what you mean by some of the characters feel a little bit different. Maybe that's related to the fact that, you know, Mark Guggenheim isn't a showrunner this season. Because I only just realized beforehand he actually was a showrunner for the first three. Because I always thought he was just like what was it?
Yeah, I thought Phil Clare
executive producer. I thought so as well, but when I look up online, apparently him and Phil Clemmer were the joint showrunners for the first 3 seasons, and then obviously Mark Guggenheim, you know, he's stepped back from, you know, this and Arrow. So maybe that's related to do with it. I honestly don't know, because I do understand what you mean, but I just don't think. I don't feel like there's as many characters that I feel have been affected by, you know, this sudden change, you know, in them.
It's mainly Mick and Constantine who feel authentic, and everyone else kind of feels a bit odd. Like, I mean, it kills me to say it, because I mean, everyone watching this knows how much I adore Legends. I love Legends. You know, it's my, other than Arrow, it's my favorite Arrowverse show. I adore it. I think it's, like I say, season 3. I think it's one of the best single Arrowverse seasons. I think it's incredible. And I was really excited about season 4. I'm just a little bit worried about it now, and I just think, like, you know, they need to improve this quickly in order to get me back on board. I mean, the next episode has got me pretty excited, purely based on the title, Wet Hot American Bummer. I'll definitely take that. But yeah, it's just, for me, I really hope it improves. I want it to improve desperately. I want to love Legends this season. I just have to say I'm not loving it yet. But to be fair, looking back on season 3, in the early couple of episodes, I didn't love, you know, if we're going, like, you know, the first 3 episodes, I didn't love the first 3 episodes of Legends season 3. Like, the first episode I liked, second episode I didn't like, third episode I was alright with. So, you know, at this point in time for season 3...
Exactly, you can be proven wrong.
Exactly, and I want to be proven wrong. I want to love this season, so, you know, it's up to you, Legends writers. Fix this for me, and I will eat my words. And I want to eat my words. So, is that everything for that episode?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Right. Arrow.
At least we got something. At least we got something that we both enjoyed.
Yes. So I think the most important thing up top about this episode, Beebo makes his Arrow appearance here. I have to say,
beautiful.
They really delivered with it as well. I think Curtis's line about it was very, very good.
Yeah, he brings comfort to children of all ages.
It's just, yeah, that was great. But I'm going to say this now. For me, this is my favorite episode of the season so far.
Oh,
I have to say, it's tough, but it beat the premiere for me.
I don't know. I think it's definitely close between this and the premiere. I think probably I enjoy the premiere more. I don't know, just because I felt like it. I don't know. I'd still say the premiere by a little bit, but I think this is very close to it. Like, there was a lot of this episode that I've really enjoyed overall.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got a bit distracted there. I was on Twitter, and I'm currently caught in a Twitter thread where Kirk Acevedo is, like, liking all the tweets.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not even tweeting in it. It's just I'm caught up in it somehow. Anyway, yeah, for me, this is my favourite episode of the season. And I think it might mostly be down to the flash forwards because of how awesome they were. But we'll get to that. So, let's start off with the Oliver stuff. So, Oliver's now in level 2. He is in a cell completely by himself with no food or water. And we now have this new character, this Dr. Parker character. Could be the demon, maybe.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think that seems likely at this point. But he's basically just talking to Oliver and getting to, like, confess loads of stuff. Basically doing it in a much less stylish way than Adrian Chase did it.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Stephen Amell's acting,
brilliant.
Very well done. Such a good, like, range of what he did here. Especially
yeah.
Because, like, there are scenes, like, where he's remembering... Because we actually get flashbacks to the pilot in this, which I didn't expect at all. Like, we get to see the scene again with Robert and Oliver on the raft, which I didn't expect at all. Especially because, like, when did we last see that? Like, season 5? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Before that. Like, it's been quite a while since we've seen that, because obviously that was such a heavy emphasis in the early seasons. But we actually got to see it again, which I actually really enjoyed. It was nice to see, like, James Sheridan again. But I like the fact that it was kind of, like, really diving into Oliver's inner psyche and the idea that, you know, Because I think the Doctor actually brings up a pretty good point where he's like, you're doing this because your father passed on his sins to you. He had no right to do that, sort of thing. Like, I thought that was a good message. I like that. And then, like, even the stuff where, he's saying, what are you going to do to your son? What's William going to do after you go? How's he going to do it? And then we get that amazing scene where they recreate the Robert and Oliver scene, but with Oliver and William. Amazing.
That was a really good scene.
Amazing.
Are you going to turn around and criticize Jack Moore's acting?
No, I'm not. Jack Moore has been all right this season, and continues to be in this scene. I thought he was believable. I mean, to be honest, Jack Moore a lot of the time plays William kind of brain dead, and in this scene he would be brain dead at this point, kind of. So, it kind of just fits in. But yeah, he's kind of sat there, and I like the twist on the words, because instead of where Robert said survive, Oliver said live. He just said live, and then he shot himself in the head. With the same gun that Adrian Chase used, I believe.
Adrian Chase is alive, confirmed.
But wouldn't this been the perfect opportunity to have Adrian Chase in this episode?
Yeah, just dose him up with drugs and then Adrian Chase would just show up as a hallucination. That's what I wanted.
Disappointing. And they could have, Oliver could have hallucinated the Doctor actually as Adrian.
Oh, no. Don't say these things. It just makes me more upset.
And yes, just in case you are wondering, we do just want Adrian in every single episode. Just bring him back, man. But yeah, I think that scene was excellent. Just a really cool recreation. Like I say, Stephen Amell's acting was top-notch. And it was just a really awesome scene. And yeah, I mean, I think, what do you think of all this stuff? I thought it was great.
I thought it was really good. Just because it, just allowing us to kind of dive more into Oliver's psyche. And anyway, it does ask kind of an important question of the fact, like, the repercussions of him going to prison and what effects that'll have on William. Because that was something that I always thought to myself, like, wouldn't it be strange for William, like, to have his father just, like, locked up in jail? Because it kind of is similar to, in a way, like you said in this episode, what Robert did to Oliver, on the raft. Which, and essentially him passing all of his sins down to him, it's such like a horrible time and horrible circumstances. And it's the same here with what ultimately Oliver's doing to William. He's gone to prison, but now, William's now potentially going to grow up without a father for such a long time. And, like, the damage that will do to him psychologically, like, that kind of stuff was really awesome. And like I said, Stephen Amell's acting was phenomenal. I mean, it kind of sounds like a broken record when we say Stephen Amell's really, like, when he's given, like, a really good performance, because we're so used to it. But especially in those scenes, especially, like, as you say, the one where it's in the raft with him and William, I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
And it really just does show, like, how far he's willing to go for his son. And it was... Even though I will say the technology behind that machine is total BS. Let's just say that. Yeah. It's total BS. But the fact that scene was so good made me completely forgive it, because it was so brilliantly done. And, like, especially with that Doctor character, like, he's a creepy motherfucker.
He was good.
Really good.
I quite like, because he just stays really calm throughout the entire thing. And
yeah,
his really relaxing, soothing voice. like you kind of just do like fall asleep to him. But what is interesting about this is obviously where they kind of hint where they're going next episode, is that, are they trying to erase Oliver's mind? Like, so it seems to be trying to, like, make him forget that he was ever the Green Arrow.
Interesting. Are they trying to rip off Invasion?
I mean, can we get Susanna Thompson back, please?
Oh my.
But what's interesting is, obviously, throughout this episode, you have, like, this motif where he constantly says, what's your name? My name's Oliver Queen, blah, blah, blah. And then at the very end, he says, what's your name? My name is Inmate 4587. So it's like he's forgotten he's Oliver Queen. I
don't think he has in that scene. Because, I mean, in the next episode, you see him fucking beating up guards.
Yeah, that's what I'm
How can he
confused
forget
about.
who he is? I think he's just said that to, like, put him on, like, to put him at ease that he's, compliant. I think that's why he said it. I don't think he's actually, like, lost his memory.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, we still don't even know what his intentions were with that. Like, we still don't actually know what the Doctor was planning with this machine, so I still want to know what they're going to do with that. But, I mean, next episode, I'm sure we'll find out. I mean, if he is the demon, the next episode is called The Demon, so, I'm sure we'll find that out. I'm pretty sure it is him now. I don't think it is going to be... I mean, I'm still curious about who that fourth, like, cameo is that we're still waiting on.
Agent Chase.
I thought it was the demon, but, if this guy is the demon, obviously it's not. But yeah, still.
Agent Chase. Agent Chase is the demon.
Please. But yeah, all this Oliver stuff is pretty great. and this is the scene, obviously, Stephen Amell was talking about, where he was saying Oliver's stuck in a cell for the entire episode. I think this is obviously the one he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I think it worked in that sense. And then we had the stuff with Laurel and Felicity, which I think Laurel was excellent in this episode.
Oh, definitely.
Like, Katie Cassidy was brilliant. Like, just the way she acted was really cool. Like, the way she came about, the way she, like, proposed herself. Like, from the scene when we first see her in the office and with Felicity, I liked her in that scene. And then, especially in the scene where she's with Felicity in the silencer. Just really cool stuff. Like, I like the scene when she first approaches the silencer. She's acting dead cool about it. Like, you know, she kind of comes in like, hello. Like, I really like that. I thought that was really cool. I have to say, like, I think Black Siren is just so much better than Laurel, like, from Earth One. Like,
I will admit to that. Yeah, and it's just like,
it's more interesting.
Yeah, and even when they like kind of tease her backstory when she has that conversation with Felicity, like it's so interesting. It's just like you want to know more about her character. I'm still keeping fingers crossed that we actually do get an actual backstory episode, because still waiting on it. Like, Katie Cassidy's been promising it for like how long now? Like a year, 2 seasons, and it's like we still haven't got it. But it's like the reason we want it is because like this is a character who has an interesting story to tell. Yeah. Like, I want to learn more about her, like what happened to her on Earth 2. Yeah. And the way that she describes it as well, it's just like it only makes me want it even more. So I just hope we do learn more about it, because I just hope it isn't going to be one of those things where it's like, oh, we'll talk about it, but you'll never actually see it. Yeah. Like, I mean, if Felicity can get a whole fucking episode in season 3 about her backstory, sure, Black Siren can.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of makes me think maybe they won't do it is kind of like what I mentioned earlier, where, say, if it's just Arrow viewers who people just watch Arrow, like, if they see, like, these other versions and things, I don't know if they'll, you know, gravitate towards it. I mean, I don't know how normal, just, like, regular Arrow viewers take to Black Siren, because, like I say, my dad, who only watches Arrow, and he doesn't really understand Black Siren as a character, like, he's not very good at, like, you know, contemplating these sort of bigger existential sort of things. So I don't know what other people, I don't know if it's just him, like, I don't know if it's other people as well. So, you know, I think maybe that might be why they don't do it, and they only tease it.
Well, that's all right then. You just put it with another storyline, so that's the main focus, and then just have the backstory as the side story.
Yeah, but I mean, I really want to see it. Like, I really want, because Earth 2 is really interesting. Like, Earth 2 is like a really dark Earth, and I really want to see that. Like, you know, Robert Queen is the Green Arrow on that Earth, and obviously Oliver's dead, Quentin's dead. We could get Paul Blackthorne back. We could get Paul back for an episode.
Just so he can die again, and you can just so Quentin can die again, and you can cry.
No, that's true. Yeah, I don't want that actually.
He just dies on the side of a road. No. Dies at the side of a road, Uncle Ben style.
No, I don't know. I can't be dealing with that again. But yes, we all need a Black Siren backstory episode, especially because I really love Laurel in this episode. Like, so good. I haven't enjoyed Black Siren this much in a long time. Like, she was just like really good in this episode.
Oh, she's been great this season. I think in episode 2 she was really good as well. Like I say, I think it just fills me with more confidence with Beth Schwartz, you know, with what they're going to do with her character, just because it just feels like they're actually going somewhere with her. They're not treading around like in deep water like they did throughout most of the last season with, oh, is she a bad guy? Is she a good guy? Like, it seems now they're pretty like set on where she is. Yeah. And it's just kind of like trying to get behind why she was like that in season 6, and just it's really cool. I will say that, like, Felicity actually I thought was a lot better this episode than the last 2.
She wasn't like overly annoying in this.
Yeah,
there is one scene where she goes over the top, but then they actually explain it, which I was like, okay, fair enough.
Because originally I was like, oh, this is
really
a bit bad, and then you realise, oh, that was intended. Like.
Yeah. It's actually intentional. I was like, okay, well done, writers, well done.
Well done. You played yourself out of that one.
You managed to write yourselves out of that. Do you reckon they came up with that last minute? They were just,
I bet
they saw the cut. Yeah. Like, oh, let's do this.
Yeah, I bet originally they saw the scene and just like, oh, this is so awful. Should we just write in that it was meant to happen?
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty clever, and you know, again, they managed to save themselves, because again, when you first see that scene, like Emily Betts acting in it, you're like, but then kind of. It explains it, so I guess that's fair enough. But yeah, I just can't get over Laurel in this. So good. And then we had like the stuff with Dinah and Renee and the new Green Arrow, which the new Green Arrow does return in this episode. We get a really good look at who it is. Well, when I say who it is, I mean, like, we get a really good look at the character.
We get a good look at her, because it is a woman. I don't give a fuck about how many people in the comment section say, oh, it's Roy Harper. It's not.
It's not Roy.
Okay? It's not right. It's Emiko Queen.
It is. It's Emiko Queen. It does. I have to say, in this episode, it does look more like a woman. Especially, there's the shot of the character when they're aiming the bow at Renee, and you really get a good look at like the eyes and the mask. It definitely looks like a woman to me. Like it looks like a woman's face. But the Green Arrow was pretty cool in this episode. Like the scene where they could just like parkour up a wall. That was cool.
That was awesome.
That was pretty sick. Like full on just Nathan Draked it. I like that. But yeah, Renee and Dinah, they went through a bit of a thing in this. I mean, it starts off with these arsonists who actually injure Zoe, and then Renee, obviously being the father of Zoe, gets a bit angry about that, as you would, and he is basically saying to Dinah, "Look, I'm gonna whoever did this, I'm gonna bloody kill them," and then he kind of interacts with the new Green Arrow. Dinah comes out of nowhere, tries to arrest the Green Arrow, and then Renee lets him go, and then Dinah arrests Renee. Like,
this scene triggered me so much.
This completely surprised me. Like, I didn't expect this at all. Like, she just like pushes him and then says turn around, and then it says Renee Ramirez under arrest.
That for me, like that felt kind of forced. And then although the next scene that she has kind of tries to explain it, it still felt stupid. Like, how could you all of a sudden go from working with this guy for 2 years to all of a sudden, oh no, I'm just going to arrest you right on the spot? Like that just felt.
I mean, in the next scene, like you say, they do kind of justify it when Diggle comes in because they're like, oh yeah, well, you know, I can't just keep giving him free passes because he's a friend. He did break the law, which, you know, fair enough. But it seems like such a character turn, especially because all Dinah did last season was defend Renee.
Yeah,
that's all she did last season. So it's like, you know, and now all of a sudden, like, she's arresting him. Especially because like Dinah is the one character who's very off this season for me.
Yeah,
like she's very, very different. Just because of the way she is and the way, but what this tells me, and going back to Laurel as well, she's not becoming the Black Canary again.
Yeah,
definitely not. Because even in this scene with Diggle, Diggle says to her, "Look, you know, Lance. Obviously, we got another conversation about Lance in this episode, which I'll always take. Lance, you know, he did it by the book, but if it came to doing the right thing and getting the job done, he would work with Oliver and things like that. He'd work with the vigilantes." And that's basically what makes Dinah come around and get Renee out of custody. And I feel like, you know, this is Dinah becoming Quentin's character. Basically.
Yeah.
Dinah's going to become the new Quentin, so of course that means we need a new Black Canary, Laurel. So yeah, I think that's where that's definitely going. Especially because in the flash forwards, they hint that Dinah is going to lose a canary cry.
Yeah, that felt weird to me. Like, when she's like all of a sudden holding the throat, and it's just like, has she lost it? Has someone stabbed her in the throat?
Yeah,
like,
we'll get to that. But yeah. So I feel like Dinah, that could happen this season. So we'll have to wait and see. But Dinah's a bit of an odd character, and that whole arresting thing was a bit strange. But obviously they do kind of, her and Renee go out to basically find these arsonists. The new Green Arrow shows up, and she actually does work with the new Green Arrow. She actually lets him escape towards the end, which was, you know, I guess you could call that an arc, if you want to, if you really want to. So yeah, all that stuff was interesting, and I have to say, Hoss is very good in this episode.
Yeah, Renee's just he's just been really. I'm gonna love. Yeah, me too. Like ever since like episode 21 of last season, I've just loved Renee.
Yeah, like they've actually made Renee a really good character. And
yeah,
you know, especially because we spent like 2.5 seasons, like, or 1.5 seasons, pretty much hating him.
Yeah,
it's nice to actually like Renee. And as much as we make jokes about him, he is really good.
Yeah.
Although I couldn't help myself but laugh when I found out this week that he was in the Lady Gaga music video for the song Judas, and I have to say that music video has got me listening to that song a lot, and I'm not proud of that. Do you know he plays Jesus in it as well?
What?
He plays Jesus. Like, because I was looking up on IMDb. Because I was literally just like watching classic Lady Gaga music for some reason, and I saw the music video for this, and I just saw Hoss on a motorbike. I was like, what the hell? And like Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead's in it as well. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I looked it up on IMDb, and he's credited as Jesus. I mean, you know, Hoss is Jesus as far as I'm concerned.
He is.
So yeah. Anyway, the flash forwards. This really grabbed me because obviously.
Yeah,
we did get teased that we were going to go back to Star City, which we do. We get to see future Star City. So William and Roy knocking around Star City. We go to Smoke Tech, which
we also saw We saw a Deathstroke painting as well on one of the walls. I saw that.
Yeah, we did.
Very cheeky.
Because they do a lot of stuff with the Glades in this episode. Like, the Glades are actually relevant again, which gives me Season 1 vibes. And, they go into Smoke Tech, so this basically confirms that theory that Smoke Tech's going to come around. They kind of find this thing, and they open it up, and then Dinah comes in from the future Dinah. She's there with the aging up makeup with the grey hair, and she's wearing like an alternative Black Canary suit. It looks a lot more comic booky.
Yeah.
Suit. The colours of it's got a bit more yellow to it, which Black Canary does in the comics. Like, it looked a lot more similar, except for the fishnets, like her Injustice 2 suit.
Oh yeah. Which
is awesome. Dinah is awesome in that game. I like Dinah's look in this. I like that she had the hood. I thought that was cool. The mask. I thought she was really cool. And again, I think the old makeup looked good on Juliana Harkavy. So.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't look obvious. Like you certainly couldn't feel like, oh, yeah, that's her makeup. Like it looked quite natural.
Yeah, Dinah. I like seeing, because one thing that I was wondering is, are we going to see like other future characters? Because we've got Roy, but are we going to see anyone else? And then we see Dinah in this. The only problem with this is that it does confirm that Dinah's never going to die.
Yeah.
So like they can't put Dinah in like any serious threat anymore because we know this isn't Flash. Like, this isn't a future that can change. This is a definite future. So it's just like, you can't, no matter what situation to put Dinah in, which she'll be like, well, she's alive, so it doesn't matter. She's gonna be right. She'll be fine. She'll be alright.
Yeah.
She'll get on. Even if she's like in a coma, she'll be fine. She'll be alright. But yeah, as we mentioned earlier, they do hint that Dinah's lost a canary cry. Like, Roy says to her, like, oh yeah, you were an SCPD captain, what happened? Then she's like, oh, that's a long time ago. And she like holds her. It's quite discreet. Like, you might miss it, but like she like holds her throat, and if you look, there is like a cut there. It looks like there's like a slash across her throat. So, and they kind of tease in this episode that they're gonna do it, because like there's that guy who goes up to her with a knife.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was gonna lead up to. Yeah. Is in like, that's when she was going to... maybe they'll do it by the end of the season. Maybe that's what will happen, yeah.
I think Dinah... Like I say, because I don't think Dinah's going to become the Black Canary again. I think, they will... That'll be like the nail in the coffin, that she's just like, well, I'm kind of... What's the point? I can't be the Black Canary without Canary Cry, so what's the point? So I feel like that's what they're going to do. That's interesting. And I did like seeing Dinah, but then the big moment came for me. And I know there's a bigger moment, technically, that comes after this, but for me, this was the biggest moment. Bloody Zoe Ramirez comes in as the new Black Canary in the future. I couldn't believe this. This blew my mind, because they set this up. Dinah comes over in the present day to Zoe and gives her like a little Black Canary like necklace thing. Gives it to her, and I was like, are they hinting that Zoe's the next Black Canary? I didn't expect them to pay it off in the next scene. She literally just comes out of nowhere. It's like,
and it's just like all full gear, yeah. And it's just in full gear.
Yeah. And she has like a really cool suit as well. And she comes out. It's like, oh yeah, you guys remember Zoe? And then she's like, oh yeah, I work for the Resistance Force. I was like, whoa.
What? Slow down.
I was like, what is going on? So we have like I guess this is like a new generation of heroes. Like, so she's like the new Black Canary. Now, this is the only thing, this kind of maybe in some ways contradicts my Laurel theory, because, it seems like she passes on the mantle to Zoe. But I feel like Zoe obviously still has like a long way to go, because this is like 30 years in the future, so there's still like a long way to go there. But I loved this though. I thought this was great.
Yeah, that was really good. Just because, like you say, it kind of takes these characters we didn't really look at very seriously, for last season, like Zoe and William, and because obviously you've now recast them with older actors, in the future storyline, you can do some really interesting things with them that you wouldn't be able to do like normally. So I think it's really cool, really cool.
Yeah. And I really like the actress who plays her. Like she got like this attitude. She's really cool. I like her. I saw her like tweeting about it on Twitter. Like, she seems really excited to be a part of this.
Yeah,
I really like that. Now, one thing I will bring up as well, about going back to the new Green Arrow, about it potentially being Roy. And this isn't necessarily about the new Green Arrow, but Roy is definitely in this season in the present story, because Dinah and Roy know each other.
Yeah, because that's what I thought as well. Yeah,
they've never met at this point. Dinah and Roy have never met each other at this point. So, and in this, like, they act like they know each other well. Like, Dinah's like, oh, you used to be a lot more patient, Roy, and things like that. Like, she acts like they know each other quite well. So Roy is in this season, in the present day.
He's got to be, because it'd be. I don't know, but I feel like it would be a waste if they only used him in the Flash. I think us fans would want to see him interact with the characters in present day, and not just like 20 years in the future.
Yeah, because as much as I'm loving the season and the flash forwards, I will be disappointed come the end of this season if he's not in the main story, because that's what I really want from Roy. So yeah, I think this definitely confirmed it. Whether he's the new Green Arrow or not, he's in the news. He's in the main story. But then the really big moment, I guess, that people say, although this
which made me cheer with absolute joy when I shouldn't have done.
So William is like, "Oh yeah, we come here for Felicity," and Dinah says, "Oh, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but Felicity Smoke is dead."
Get him, boys.
Now, obviously, this is going to set up... I think this is like the story for this flash forwards now, is finding Felicity, because I don't think Felicity is dead.
No, why? Have some fucking stakes.
I kind of hope...
All these fans been like, how dare you kill a Felicity Smoke? Guess what? Everybody dies. Calm down.
Because obviously, if they do confirm Felicity's still alive in these flash forwards, then obviously...
This scene will be completely redundant.
And also and also there's going to be no stakes for Felicity in the rest of the show. Because also, did you confirm Renee's alive as well?
Yeah.
You don't see Renee, but Zoe says he wouldn't be seen dead in Star City. So that means at some point in the future he gets like basically just disgraced and he leaves and never comes back. So Renee's still alive as well. But that does hint that Renee's going to leave the show, maybe.
No!
Just as he gets good. But I don't think Felicity's dead. I think that this whole thing is going to be like, she's going to leave like a trail of clues for William and Roy to follow, and they're going to find her. And then we'll get to see, because I'm not having Emily Bett Rickards as passing up on this old makeup thing. She's not passing that up. So I feel like we're going to see that.
No, I feel like it. I want them to keep it as it is, but then obviously not have her death take some place. Like, not this season, obviously, but, like, way in the future. Like, maybe 10 years before the flash forwards or something like that. Because, like I said, that is interesting. The fact that we have a character now who we know in 20 years' time is going to be dead. And it kind of, like, adds to that sense of, like tension. Because it also makes, like, her moments with other characters more somber. So I want to see things like that. But then again, I do have this feeling in the back of my head, like you said, that they probably will just go ahead and be like, "Oh no, she's still alive."
I reckon like she's probably faked her own death, because I'm not being funny. Like Felicity, with her knowledge of computers and systems, she'd be able to like erase herself from the internet and things like that. She'd be able to do that. So I feel like she is gonna be alive. I just really hope in these flash forwards now they don't give us any more characters. As much as cool as it is, and as exciting as it is, like I said, it just like ruins the stakes of the show. Because we know that Dinah lives and we know that Renee lives. So I really want them, like, I don't want, like, don't bring Diggle into it. Don't, like, leave Felicity dead. That'd be perfectly fine with me.
Yeah.
Obviously, leave Oliver out of it. Curtis, leave. I mean, I could see Curtis coming into it, maybe. Because this seems maybe like the new recruits. Maybe we'll get, like, a young Mr. Terrific.
Damn.
That'd be pretty interesting. People are saying, like, we might see JJ show up. Cool.
JJ is the new Green Arrow.
Yeah, Connor Hawke Green Arrow, which obviously that was like a timeline that was erased. Even though that was a fucking awesome episode. I'd like to see JJ. I think obviously that would make sense in a way to have like the 3 Arrow kids all growing up with William, Zoe, and then JJ. That would be quite cool. But yeah, I just don't want them to bring in any more characters because it's fine as is. It's fine if we have Dinah. Renee is alive somewhere, but just leave everyone else. That's fine. I want to know about this resistance force. That's what I want to know about. What's going on with that? Like this vigilante resistance. I want to know what's going on there. Like that's cool. That's exciting. And also they bring up the Glades. Like the Glades has now like become like the risen part of Star City. Like it's just like the Glades just rose up over the years, and is now like the most heavily fortified area. And like it feels like the Dark Knight Rises in that way.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises definitely.
So that's I don't know what that really means, but I mean, what do you think that is?
I guess it's just, I think maybe an event happens in the future where basically the like, I don't know, maybe the rich, like the upper and middle class, they kind of, they kind of get surprise attacked by the Glades. I don't know. I feel like it'd be interesting if it's something they set up. Like, obviously, we might see like how they get defeated in the flash forwards, but it'd be interesting to see that like the seeds of how that is implemented in the current storyline. Yeah. Like, see things happen that set that up. Because I think that is quite interesting. How they've managed to basically go from being completely demolished almost in season 1 to now like 20 years in the future, they're now like completely risen up. Like that's really cool. Yeah,
because it is like The Dark Knight Rises, and I think that's a really cool element in that film is when, you know, basically as the Joker says in The Dark Knight, the chips are down and these people are eating each other. Like it's a really cool moment, and if they're gonna like take that story and bring it into Arrow, I'm totally down for that.
Definitely.
So that's really cool, and especially they do kind of like establish it in the present storyline a little bit in this episode. That scene where Dinah goes to talk to the Glades, to like Renee's community center, and like, you know, they're all saying about how the SCPD just don't respond to the Glades and things like that. So they do kind of plant the seeds, but the flash forwards, man, they're so exciting. Like, they're so cool. They just tease so much stuff like this vigilante force. Just Zoe in general blew my mind. I was so happy about that, and yeah, I need more of this, please. I kind of want the entire story to be these flash forwards. But what I love is that they give you like just enough. Like, because they're not every episode, but then every time you do get one, you get like 3 juicy scenes that
it's like
enough to.
Yeah, and you just it's just like they don't show you loads, but they show you enough to really keep you interested, which I think is really a testament to the way that they're doing it this season.
Yeah, best Schwartz, man.
Best Schwartz, definitely best Schwartz.
I mean, she's amazing. Any other additional thoughts on level 2? I think that's pretty much it, really, isn't it?
Pretty much it, other than it's a great episode, and anybody who is still saying that Arrow has had a bad start to the season needs to go visit the doctor at Slabside and have themselves medically checked.
Honestly, Arrow has been incredible this season. It's just been masterful. Like, I think it's so well. I mean, obviously not everything's perfect, obviously, but I think like considering what Arrow has been the past few seasons, even though like because Arrow has not been the same it was really since season 2. As great as season 5 was,
it wasn't season 2.
No, this feels a lot more in line with the first 2 seasons than anything else. And
yeah, definitely.
That's great. Like it's very grounded. It's very dark. It's very real, especially the prison stuff. Like, it feels so much like season 1 and 2, and I think that's great. This is the best season of Arrow we've had in a long time. And obviously,
calm down.
I hadn't finished. Whether it will live to beat season 5 is yet to be seen, because season 5 was great. If they bring Adrian Chase back as the big bad, then it definitely will. But obviously that won't happen. So just one thing that I want to plug. I know you're unsure about this, but I just want to plug this anyway.
No. Go ahead.
Obviously, we kind of did this around the time of Heroes and Villains earlier this year. This is a much smaller event.
Very small.
More of a local one, but me and Dan will be going to Wales Comic Con, which is December the 1st and the 2nd. We're going on the 2nd, which is the Sunday. I'm not going to plug this every single week, but I'm just going to let you do it like every 2 weeks or something. But it is, less than a month away. It isn't like as Arrowverse centric as obviously Heroes and Villains is. It's a lot more general. Like in terms of like there's only like one Arrowverse star there.
And that's Arthur Darvill, yeah.
Darvill, who plays Rip Hunter. I'm getting a photo op with him, so hey. I'm also getting a photo op with Pom Clementif, who plays Mantis in the MCU. Thea Rossi, who plays Shades on Luke Cage, and then Carl Urban, who, I mean, you all know who Carl Urban is. So, yeah, and you're meeting Carl Urban as well, aren't you? So.
Oh, yeah, Judge Dredd himself.
Yes. So, if you're going to Wales Comic Con, if you're kind of from that area and you're going, then if you see us walking around, we are going to be there, so come up and say hi. We are going to be sort of walking around, meeting different people, because there's quite a lot of, like, big... Well, not big, but, big-ish kind of movies.
Yeah.
So we're going to be there. It's like some cool people to meet. And even like a couple of video game voice actors as well, who I'd like to meet. And I'm sure like all their stores and stuff will have some cool merch to buy. So make sure you save up your money there, boy. But yeah, that's on the 2nd of December. So if you're there, we'll be there as well. But with all that said, that brings us to the close of episode 23. So any other additional thoughts?
Can't wait for that Ragdoll episode of The Flash next week.
Oh, that looks great. Yeah, that looks... Yeah, they're doing that. I love the fact they're making it creepy. I love that. I love the fact they're actually doing the horror thing. Brilliant.
Yeah, it will just feel weird that it's airing in mid-November.
Yeah. I have to say, that the actor they've got, Troy James, to play that guy, is brilliant. Have you seen his America's Got Talent video?
I've seen it. It's genuinely sickening at times.
It's scary. Especially because he looks like such a nice guy, and he just starts doing all this weird stuff in his body.
Yeah, God.
I love it though. Yeah, I will agree. This Flash episode looks great. I'm so excited about that. But also, one thing to note as well is that now that Flash has taken a week off, it's now in line with the other shows.
Yeah, I think that's probably why they did it as well as the elections, just so because now we've only got like 4 episodes up until the the mid-season finale, until the crossover. So I think that's probably why they've done it as well. Because if I count now off the top of my head, I think we now don't have any more breaks in between now and the crossover.
No, we shouldn't. The only thing is that the Flash is technically still 5 months behind.
Yeah, I hope they explain that by like the crossover or at least the mid-season premiere, because that would just be weird.
I think they might do it in the mid-season finale, because if the crossover is completely Elseworlds, like, if the crossover is literally completely separate, then obviously they don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So they might do it in the mid-season finale, considering how the mid-season finale might have time travel involved. We'll see. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to episode 23 of On a Die Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it around with anybody else who enjoys DCTV content like this. And as always, guys, make sure you check out our channels as well, linked in the description down below. And with all that said, I've been Declan.
I've been Dan.
And we hope to see you guys again next week.